The sound should be okay. Yeah, okay. Yeah, the important thing is you can hear me. And first of all, welcome. And today we have a very important day. We're gonna do the second part of the Witchwood discussion. As in, I think on Wednesday, 2 days ago, we kind of did the first part and we talked about a few things regarding the new cards. I'm not gonna go through all the cards again today, so if you want to kind of listen to the discussion, if you want to hear what the chat thought or what we talked about, you're more than welcome to check my previous videos. Also, there's a video on YouTube and an article on Gamerslug where I posted the video, so you can kind of take a look and see, well, whichever card you wanted to see. So today I'm going to talk about the new cards that we haven't seen. I'm just gonna see if I can refresh from here. I should be able to. Oh no, that's not what I want to do. Maybe. Okay, let's try this. I wanna delete this link from XSplit and then put it in again, because then it will refresh the card list. So in case there's another card, we're gonna be able to see it. Oh no, that's not at all what I wanted. Just give me a second. Yeah, okay. I think we're good. So we're gonna use Hearthstone top decks. They have a pretty nice list and we're already kind of familiar with the interface. So we're gonna use that one just to kind of get a grasp of what's discovered and what's not discovered yet. That's kind of what we're doing. So we're gonna start from the mostly from the new cards, let's say, because those are the ones that we really haven't seen. So if we start, well, they updated 1 minute ago, so that means we're gonna get to see a new card as well, which is good. Oh, okay. It says this is the new card. I already saw that one. That's fine. Okay, so we're kind of going to take a look at the most recently revealed cards, because those we haven't seen for sure. I don't know, like it's been an exciting week. Like, a lot of the stuff that's been discovered has really, shapen up the future meta in a way that we kind of know which direction certain classes will be going. For example, we have the Priest Legendary, Lady in White. Actually, do we wanna look at the Priest class, or do we just wanna look at the Legendary? I think we should look at the Priest class as a whole. Okay. So if we have Lady in White, it says apply Inner Fire to all minions in your deck. This is pretty self-explanatory, and actually this card will allow for you to play, for example, a combo priest, as in like a one-shot priest, even if you're not playing an odd cost deck. For example, it doesn't work with this card. If your deck has only odd cost cards, double the health of your other minions. With this card, you're definitely gonna be able to combine Inner Fire, and this card kind of serves as a Divine Spirit. In this deck, though, this is an even cost deck. So if you have an even cost, you're pretty much gonna be able to play the Divine Spirit in the deck. But let's say there's a combination of cards that you want, where you only want the even cost cards. I'm not saying that's going to be the case. Maybe there's just going to be a deck with Lady in White for an Inner Fire Priest that doesn't require you to have an even cost card in it. Just even cost card. This is going to allow you to have an Inner Fire in your actual deck without having it. But there's a problem. Apply Inner Fire to all minions in your deck. This pretty much means that you're gonna have to have minions that have high health regardless of buffing them after. So that means if you have, for example, a Bookworm as a 3/6, you're gonna want to have, a 6/6 probably for 6 mana, but you're also gonna want to have some higher health minions than that. For example, you will have no use of the Arakoa, the 3/4 guy, because he will buff the minion after. And if you don't have an Inner Fire in your even cost deck, if such thing even exists, that's pretty much useless. So if you're talking about the even cost decks, you're gonna want to have dragons. For example, you're gonna want to have Malygos, you're gonna want to have Ysera, stuff like that. Also, Athena, thank you so much for the host. Everyone who came from Athena's stream, welcome. We're in the middle of the, well, we're at the beginning actually of the card discussion, so I'm just kind of going through a few of the cards that are new. So let's say this is the situation where you have just the even cost cards, which makes that deck kind of viable if you have strong health minions. But this card, as I said, also works even in an Inner Fire deck without the need to just have the even costs. Overall, it's a card that makes you think that this is gonna be a combo priest. Right now, it's very hard to say if the card is gonna be useful for something else as well. So for now, you can see that some weaker health minions like dragons, for example, like Ysera, like Malygos, like for example Bookworm, if we're talking about dragons, and also some higher health minions that we already saw exist in this expansion. They're gonna benefit from that a lot, and we're gonna see if there's gonna actually be a deck that requires you to have a high attack without actually having the combo. But if you have this card in the deck, I don't see why you wouldn't be going for a one-shot priest. Like, it doesn't really make much sense. Maybe they develop a mechanic where you can buff the health of the minions without them actually being in your hand or on the board. Maybe there's gonna be a card that also buffs the health. So we are yet to see that. Also, I kind of want to comment, now that we're talking about priest, I kind of want to take a look at the Coffin Crasher. Well, actually, before we start on that, I just want to make a comment that Lady in White actually has pretty good stats for 6 mana 5/5. I think it's a pretty solid minion, and I think it's definitely not too weak to be played on a turn 6. So from that point of view, I really like it. I think it's gonna be played. So yeah, now let's take a look at the Coffin Crasher, a bit of a stronger card stat-wise than Lady in White. So 6 mana 6/5. Priest card, very strong turn 6. But this smells like a quest priest, to me at least. It says Death Rattle, summon a Death Rattle minion from your hand. So this card requires a little bit of thinking if you're actually playing an Amara priest, and it seems like they're kind of returning it to the game and maybe trying to make it more viable. So you want to actually have a Death Rattle priest in Death Rattle card in your priest deck in your hand for this to actually proc. I kind of want to go back and review the Vivid Nightmare again. We didn't really know what this was about. We kind of, last time we talked about Vivid Nightmare, we kind of thought that this was gonna be a card, for example, just for the combo priest, for example Villain Priest, Malygos Priest, or something like that that requires additional spell damage. And yes, this can definitely be used in that kind of priest, but now that the expansion is kind of shaping up, I think they've realized that the Quest Priest was one of the decks that actually didn't really see much play. And I tried it myself. I even tried making a version maybe a month ago, and it didn't really work out. Basically, your only win condition was N'Zoth, and now that N'Zoth is leaving Standard, there's not going to be much reason to play a Quest Priest unless it actually becomes viable on the board during the whole game. So you want to have a game during the game, not just to depend on a card like N'Zoth to kind of give you one push. And N'Zoth kind of got increasingly worse, I think. when Psychic Scream was introduced to Hearthstone, because that pretty much solves the issue temporarily. Because, well, it leaves your opponent with the option to just top deck N'Zoth next turn and to just do the same thing, but it also gives him these clunky minions back to the deck that he's been trying to summon, or gives him, for example, the loot hoarders that you definitely don't want to see in late game as priest because of fatigue. So it's kind of not very useful to just have it in the deck anymore if everybody's, well, if all the priests are now teching with the Psychic Scream. This card is pretty nice because it requires a bit of thinking from your side. If you're the one who's actually playing it, you can just say, okay, I'm gonna play this for tempo without having a death rattle because this card already has death rattle and it counts. I'm not gonna be greedy, I'm just gonna play it. So it's a fine turn 6. 6 mana, 6/5 is fine. But if you actually have something in hand, it's gonna turn out to be a lot better for you as well. Also, regarding your opponent, it requires thinking from their side as well. So on turn 6, usually a class is gonna have about 1 removal. So 6 mana is usually enough for something like Siphon Soul, for something like Dragonfire Potion if you're removing a big board, something like Polymorph and some extra mana to have to ping or whatever you're doing. But if you're actually popping the Coffin Crasher on turn 6, you kind of have to think about it. Okay, what is the Death Rattle minion that my opponent has in the hand? Do I want to summon this Death Rattle minion? How good will it be if something Death Rattly comes out? What is it that could actually come out? We're yet to find out, and we're yet to see which ones are gonna be good. I have to reflect on one of the neutral cards that got revealed, and I think it's gonna fit into this archetype really nicely. A 5 mana 4/5 counters other priests really well. It's a taunt and it has a Death Rattle, restore 4 health to your hero. So for example, if you're playing this card, you kind of, I don't know, you kind of want to think of, I mean, if your opponent is playing that card, you kind of want to think about it and think about the possibility that this is in the deck. Like, is this actually something that my opponent will play? Also, what's really important is that if you're going for an even cost or odd cost mechanic and you're going for a strong Death Rattle deck that wants to include this card, you're not really going to be able to, because Rotten Appleworm costs 5 and as we saw, the Coffin Crasher costs 6. So 2 of really strong Death Rattle cards don't have the, I mean, they don't belong in the same category of numbers, so you're not going to be able to do that. But if you're not going to rely on the odd and even mechanic, this is actually something that's really good. So overall, I like the Coffin Crusher. I think it's a really, really strong rare, and I have to say I am glad that these 2 cards got revealed, because I am not a very big fan of Inner Fire Priest myself, and I think it's really nice that they're developing something else for us, for example, who don't really enjoy the Inner Fire combos. Maybe this is just not gonna be an Inner Fire one-shot priest or whatever. Maybe it's just gonna be something that just buffs your deck infinitely and just enables you to trade more efficiently. But as I said, I'm just looking forward to having something else to play, something that kind of looks like a, you know, like a quest priest maybe. I'm pretty sure you can see all the cards. Yeah, okay. So we're gonna go back, as we only kind of reviewed one card and then added the Crasher. Like, we basically took a look at Lady and Wife, White and the Coffin Crusher. Oh, hi, Biobazard! Welcome! Well, not much is going on. I basically just started a stream, and I started with the second part of the card review. So I was just pretty much talking about the priest, the way it's developing, and what's gonna be happening with Lady and White, and why it's in the deck, and how Coffin Crusher basically combines with cards like the, what's it called? I have to remind myself because I do kind of forget new cards. The Vivid Nightmare. So for me, it kind of looks like something like a quest priest. So we're yet to find out. But it's pretty interesting. Today I'm recording this video for YouTube as well, so I want to do the card review that other people will be able to kind of listen to as well while discussing it with you guys, which is really important for me. So now that we kind of talked about Lady in White, I really want to talk about Warrior. We're going to start off with the legendaries, and then we're going to go back to the class cards and see how it actually fits into it. Also, Biohazard, how's your day? How are you? I'm sorry for me not asking. I pretty much put myself in a role of a video that someone could watch after, so I did kind of forget to ask a few questions, but yeah. So, Black Howl Gun Turret is a really good name for this card effect. It says, counterattack. Whenever this card takes damage, deal 3 damage to a random enemy. This is, this is really interesting because this card actually is going to require a lot of thinking. The first thing that I think about when I think about the gun turret, it kind of, I don't know, like I think they made it so this could combine with the Warpath. I mean, I am not sure that there's gonna be a thing as in like an odd or even warrior, because when I think about all the control-ish cards that like a control warrior could have, like all the even costs are pretty much vital for a control deck. So I don't know how odd costs are gonna work. Maybe without the Warpath. Only good legendary for a moment is the White Lady for Priest. We'll see. Like, I like the Warlock ones as well. I think Warlock is gonna be super powerful. It's been high. I mean, basically the cards that they made were pretty much a high roll in comparison to the other classes. So I think they just kind of were successful at making it a bit more stronger. So I'm kind of looking forward to actually playing Warlock. I thought it was going to be active for just one season pretty much, but it seems that Warlock is not going anywhere, so that's pretty much going to make me play it as well, but we'll see. Sometimes the cards are misleading when we see them this way. We think something is going to work, but then it ends up not working. It happens. So this guy can't attack, so a 3/8 might as well be a 0/8 if it can't attack. Well, it has a purpose with like your opponent trading into it, but like 3 damage is really not a lot for a turn 7. So your opponent could pretty much just have a big minion, for example Alex Strasza or something, or any kind of 8 damage or more minion, trading into it once and kind of, you know, still surviving. Some men I prefer Baron Geddon to clean board, even his body is less good. Yeah, that's true, but I think what's key in this card is this part. Whenever this takes damage, we're kind of looking at the warrior the way it is right now, and we're seeing that warrior is getting a lot of whirlwind effects. For example, the Scourge Lord Garrosh is like a pure whirlwind card. Basically, it changes hero power to whirlwind, which is something. And also the Warpath, dealing damage to other minions, and then having cards like Rotface in the warrior, and maybe we're gonna see a return of Hellscream in the deck. We're gonna see. It's still very unclear, but I think this is the key. I think this card is gonna require a lot of thinking, but also I forgot to mention the Blood Razor, also weapon that is a whirlwind effect. So I think whirlwinds are going to be at least somewhat tested archetype, if not really played. I can't really say for sure that this card will see play, but I predict there's gonna be some archetypes that revolve around the whirlwind mechanics. Acolyte of Pain has always been a good 3-cost in a warrior, and I think all the whirlwind effects might just return it to the, return control whirlwind warrior to the play. We're seeing, I mean, lack of of Sleep with the Fishes in the next few seasons. Well, a similar effect, I would say, because that is going to kind of what do you mean? Have you seen my Twitter publication for a Discord dedicated to gamers? Like, I have not. Which one? I'm not sure. I'm not sure I know what you mean. But regarding the Discord, we're actually talking about it quite a lot, and we're still kind of in negotiations about whether or not we're gonna have Discord. Gamerslug actually used to have Discord before in the way early stage of the basically of its existence. And as you may know, since it's still a website in the beta stage, it was something that didn't really work out the way it was supposed to, as in a lot of people, for example, either didn't join Discord or didn't see the point in it because Discord wasn't as popular back then. It just wasn't it just didn't really work out in that way, so we kind of removed the Discord tag from the website even though it was there. But now, since a lot of people are asking for Discord, we're still in debate, and we still may implement Discord back. Of course, I'm probably going to be the person kind of involved in that as well. So if we have a Discord channel, I will make sure that that we have some things going on Discord, that it's a channel where people can interact, share their content and stuff like that. So definitely something that we're working on. But I'm not sure what you mean about the publication. You're gonna have to remind me of that, or just post it here so I can see. So I'm just gonna quickly go back to this card and kind of take a look at the whole warrior class and compare it to, well, not compare it to, but just kind of reflect regarding like other cards that got published. So Tourette, I think it's gonna require a lot of skill to play. It's not a card that is simple to play. It adds a bit of RNG to warrior. So by having a random enemy basically being damaged, it's a bit of a gamble, just like Brawl was. Like, it definitely does damage, it definitely does something, but what's important is that enemy doesn't mean minion. So by enemy, this could also mean that this card is going face. So for example, you could use potentially this card as even well, I wouldn't say a one-shot warrior, but what if you were to play this in a combination where, like, Frothing Berserker or something like that? So if you were able to cast Whirlwinds, Warpaths, Blood Razors, and basically just buff your Frothing Berserker for a lot of damage, and to have the Gunterette attacking face if your opponent doesn't have any minions. For example, you could play Brawl, and then next turn you can develop like the Gunterette and maybe something else to it, or I don't know, maybe add the Berserker straight away. Maybe this is a card that will even be used in a one-shot variant of the warrior. We're still not sure, but it's a possibility. I could definitely see it in that sort of deck. Also, there are quite a few cards that actually buff things, as in, like, Charge doesn't really attack face anymore, but like you have like things that basically buff the damaged warrior minions, and I think this could be a really nice addition to that kind of deck, because that's something we haven't seen so far. So overall, I like the card, but I also think that it's very skill testing, and a lot of players will most likely avoid it as well, because of either having a little bit of RNG to a control deck, or just because of the fact that in a way it screams OTK. So a lot of people are not fans of it, just because of obvious circumstances, the taunts, all the stuff that your opponent could do to not get OTK'd, and especially with the fact that this isn't a spell. It's not going to be if it's an OTK, it's not going to be an spell oriented OTK. It's pretty much going to be a minion oriented one. If we're talking about Frothing Berserker as a possibility for an OTK, it's a minion that actually has to hit phase. It's not something like a priest spell that could just go over taunts and just kill you with that. Any kind of warlock or any kind of taunt deck pretty much could be safe from this. So I think in that way, I don't know if it's gonna be too good in an OTK version, but we can think about it. Definitely, I see it with the Warpath, maybe, if it was to be played. This card, I am not a huge fan of, I'm gonna be honest. 5 mana 4/4 Rush. When this attacks and kills a minion, gain +2/+2. So it's never going to actually be a 6/6. It's gonna be a 5 mana. Well, best case scenario, 5 mana 6/5, which is okay, but it also means that your stuff is kind of damaged and it's executable, it's tradable. I don't see why this card is an actual legendary. I think this card doesn't really have that strong an effect. I don't really. Well, I mean, I like the card, I just think that it's not a legendary value. Like, okay, it has like a charge that could go into minions basically, and it gets a bit buffed, but it's not very good. Like 5 mana 6/5 is pretty much if your opponent's minion was to have 1 attack, let's say. If it has more, then this card gets even worse. But take a look at the rare card, the Coughing Crasher, 6 mana 6/5. Like it's a bit more expensive, but it has much stronger effect and it pretty much has the same stats in the best case scenario for this warrior. So I don't know about that. I'm gonna have to think about it more, but so far I don't think it's a very good card. I mean, I don't know what to make out of it. Like, these are supposed to be the 2 of the most important cards that Warrior will be getting, and they're supposed to shape up the class. Like, Rush is fine for like a Rush deck where you revolve around trading into the board. For example, I don't know, like if this was to be played, I assume there's gonna be, I mean, it would include at least Militia Commander in the deck, but I don't know. I could kind of connect this to that and this to the Warpath. So I guess we're gonna see the epics as well, because epic warrior cards have proven to be really important always for the class, and I'm sure Blizzard won't fail us this time that epics are actually going to kind of shape it up. If you look at the revealed epics, you can see that they're kind of that those are kind of shaping the class as into what it's gonna be, not the legendaries. Like Lady in White, so. But these are the cards that are actually going to be impactful. So we can take a look at a few of the other cards. We have a rogue card, Cheap Shot, 2 mana Echo. Echo, really important addition. Deal 2 damage to a minion. So in order to actually comment on this card, I'm gonna have to go back to the rogue class and just kind of comment on it here. Not that. Okay, so deal 2 damage to a minion. The first thing we were thinking is that it's kind of similar to the Wanted one. Like it deals damage to minions. Why does it deal damage? Why do you get more removals for the board as a rogue? What does it mean for this class? I still think that I was maybe right about my prediction for the rogue. We're gonna see, maybe I'm completely wrong, but I want to believe that my prediction is correct. I think that Face Collector is shaping up rogue really nicely, in a way that I think they're trying to develop a value rogue that is able to survive a thing or two, you know? If you're actually going to play a Face Collector on turn 3 or turn 6 or turn 9 or whatever, I guess whichever turn because of the Shadow Step and the fact that you can still get value off of it. I think they're trying to make a rogue control deck that can withstand a lot of ward pressure and then have some additional endgame value to just finish you up. I do believe this is going to be a really fun deck to play. Also skill testing, since you have to plan your turns well. Like, Echo is a card that once you play it, there's no going back. You're either going to spend your next 2 mana on another cheap shot or not. It's very skill testing. I really like it. Cheap shot will be very strong with Auctioneer. Also, another possibility that this will be, I don't know, like, I mean, Auctioneer still has something like Eviscerate that still is strong. Like, Eviscerate deals 4 damage, even though it doesn't have an echo. I would assume that if you're playing Auctioneer plus 2 mana, that's already turn 8. So you'd much rather want to have, statistically, you'd much rather want to have, like, 4 damage rather than 2, sorry. For 2 mana, even if you're prepping the cheap shot on turn 6, for example. I don't know how valuable it's gonna be with the Auctioneer, just because it spends a lot of mana. Like, Auctioneer is 6, then plus 2, that's 8, and then plus 2, that's already 10 mana. And I mean, it's a really nice card. I think they're trying to help Rogue deal with the aggro a little bit better. What I am worried about, though, is the Kingsbane Rogue. I have to kind of reflect on that as well, and just I don't know. I think it's gonna be a bit too strong now, because the only thing pretty much that Kingsbane Rogue has been weak to is an aggro deck that could finish you off at any time before turn 5. And if you don't have prep into Vanish before turn like 5 or 6, or even Vanish on turn 6, it's a big problem for you. Cheap Shot actually allows you to remove 2 minions on turn 4. With prep, it allows you even more. It's gonna be, I mean, it loses some of the cards, but it doesn't really lose the core cards for the deck. It doesn't lose Vanish, it doesn't lose prep, it doesn't lose Shadow Step, it doesn't lose like most of the really important minions. It doesn't really lose all that much. It still has the lifesteal, it still has that kobold guy that's returning the weapon to your hand. Like, it still has way too much stuff to not be strong. So I can see this card even be included in a Kingsbane Rogue. I mean, we're yet to find out, but I don't see why not. Since the Kingsbane Rogue is in fact losing some cards, this card could be a nice filler for the Rogue. And if the Kingsbane Rogue is able to beat control decks, as it is able to, because it doesn't really care about what's on the board, as long as it can buff the weapon and have enough time to implement it and just have a huge Kingsbane. If the Kingsbane Rogue is able to deal with aggro efficiently, like Cheap Shot, especially with prep into Echo, it's gonna be a bit of a problem, I think. We're gonna see. It's not for sure, it's just a prediction, but it's either gonna be a really strong control rogue, although some people would argue that Kingsbane is actually an archetype of control. Maybe. I mean, control decks still have to have a way to kill you, which Kingsbane obviously is, and it still controls the board in that way. It is control-ish, but it feels oppressive. Like, when you play against it, it doesn't feel like an ordinary control deck. So I think there's gonna be at least 2 archetypes existing, kind of like a value rogue. I still believe this card isn't a meme card. I still think it can be quite good, so I do believe in it, and yeah, I guess we're just gonna find out later. But with another card like Wanted that actually deals damage to a minion, this could be pretty good. I would say this card also fits into the Auctioneer archetype because it actually gives you a coin. I guess those could go well in like in a Miracle Rogue, because Miracle Rogue sometimes is just lacking removal. It doesn't really have Vanish. It mostly has single target, but this allows you to single target a bit more, pretty much. So I think Rogue is moving away from the Temple Rogue that we were kind of used to in the past couple of months, that we all enjoyed, the Scalebanes, the all the stuff that we've been playing, Kelesat even. I think this card is going to definitely kick out Kelesat out of Rogue, because I think it's just, yeah, it's a half Eviscerate. From that point of view, it's not that strong. I think it's just like an additional removal apart from the Eviscerate. So if you have Eviscerate that you want to use to actually kill someone, and you're missing a small tool to just remove a few minions, Cheap Shot is actually, well, pretty cheap, and it's a shot, so might as well play it. I mean, Rogue, I guess it's gonna be good. I guess it's gonna be playable. I'm afraid that we kind of got hyped about Warrior a little too early, because we expected that they're actually going to develop a control-ish kind of archetype, but now we're getting rush minions, and we're getting a minion that can't attack, that deals random damage, and it's getting a bit confusing, I guess, and we're just gonna have to wait and see if something like a control warrior is actually going to exist. I really hope so. I miss Control Warrior so much, and I just want to see it back. Sound the Bells. Echo. Give a minion +1/+2. Pretty much the same cost as the Rogue card. Has Echo, but instead of killing something, it buffs something. I have to shortly just reflect on a certain video that got published. Well, not published, it was a stream actually. It was like a few weeks ago, maybe about 3 weeks ago. For those of you who are following World of Warcraft, you probably know that about the last questions and answers the developers were doing, and they actually said something about the future expansion, the Battle for Azeroth, and I think something similar is happening to Hearthstone as well. So basically what the dev said is that they're gonna do a little bit of pruning to the classes. What that means is that they're pretty much going to remove some of the abilities that certain classes have, because in World of Warcraft now everybody has interrupt, everybody has some sort of silence, some sort of stun, something like that. They're gonna try to make the class more unique, as in they're gonna make the class represent itself, to have its own character, its soul, and for you to kind of think like, okay, now I have a rogue in my party. What does rogue have that I don't have? They really want all the classes to be unique in something, to have to offer its core, you know, and these are the core things for Rogue and for Paladin. This is something that kind of reflects what a Paladin actually is, what a Rogue actually is. From the designer's point of view, I think this was a really nice move. Right now I'm not talking about the card, its value or anything like that. I'm just saying like Paladin buffing stuff and Rogue dealing a few damage to a minion is pretty nice, and even the artwork kind of, you know, just explains it really well. I mean, Sound the Bells, I don't really know about the bell, but like Cheap Shot, I think the artwork is amazing, and just overall it's a real roleplay card. I like it. I like that kind of card, and I will enjoy it definitely. So Sound the Bells, give a minion +1/+2. Okay, so for a 2 mana with the requirement of a previous minion, you're getting a 1/2 buff. It can be good. Do you think Emerus is a bad card? I'll get to that. I promise I will get to Emerus as well. I just kind of want to, if you want, I can comment on Emerus before this one. I just kind of want to finish the Paladin one, because a lot of people will be watching the video after I publish it on YouTube, and they're not going to want to like fast forward where I talk about Emerus and then go back to Sound of Bells and stuff. So Sound of Bells, it's an okay card. the question is whether it's going to revive something like a quest paladin, or is it gonna be like a dude paladin archetype that recently started being developed. So I think those are pretty much two archetypes that it could be used in. I think it definitely has really nice synergy with Linessa. Linessa has been really good recently. Unfortunately, we've only been seeing it in decks like OTK Paladin. A lot of people don't see its value just with like the Potion of Heroism and 2 Spike Ridge Steeds and stuff like that. I think it has really nice value in a mid-range kind of Paladin, and maybe this can be something that can be used in just a mid-range archetype. I'm definitely the kind of person who will try it because I'm not a big fan of OTK decks. I mean, I try them, I explore them, but I wouldn't say I'm in love with them. I'll definitely give this a chance in a combination with Linessa. I am a bit worried about the OTK warrior because this is an awesome tool to kind of deal with aggression even if you're an OTK deck, and also it's just a very good card, I think, overall, because it does have Linessa, and maybe this will just be an additional card. I don't know about Beardo though. Like, Beardo is obviously, it's rotating, so it's not going to be used, but Paladin Hero as an Uther is there for a reason, and there have been some recent cards that actually refresh your hero power. I'll get to that as well. So this card in a dude paladin is pretty strong, I would say. I don't know if it's worth it, like if it's worth 2 mana, because for 2 mana you can pretty much play, for example, if you're playing the deck that reduces the cost of your hero power, you can play a 1/1 token, or for 2 mana you can play 2 1/1s, and this way you just get a 1/2. I don't know if it's that good to spend 2 mana on, but it's definitely something. I just had a heated debate with my friend on why Emrys is bad. I will talk about Emrys as well. I have a very specific opinion on it, and I can't wait to share it with you guys. So Sound the Bells, definitely a nice card for paladins. I don't know if Quest is ever gonna be viable, just because it's so easy to silence these days. Like, if you rely on one minion that doesn't even have charge, like if Paladin got some sort of a charge effect where you could actually develop your quest and do the whole like, I don't know, can't be targeted, +3 attack, whatever, and if you just charge phase in that way, OTK Paladin, maybe. But we'll see. I don't really believe in the Quest Paladin, but this is a card that could potentially be used to at least test it. I'm kind of excited about Emrys for Wild Dragon Hunter deck. Wild Dragon Hunter can be really nice, and I've been messing with Dragon Hunters for ages before actually Wild got separated from Standard, and I think it's a really nice deck. Back then it wasn't really that good because it just lacked a lot of cards. I was trying to make something work, but it never really worked. But now, with all the new dragons that you have, I think Hunter can be really cool. Regarding Standard, Emrys for 10 mana 8/8. Stat wise, it's kind of okay. Imagine if you thought steal Sound of Bells and have 2 Radiant Elementals. Yeah, that's a lot. Also, before I continue commenting on Emrys, Bybaz wrote something really important. Says, maybe the goal of this expansion is to push many players on wild mode. This is something that I commented on. I don't know where I wrote it. I did talk to someone about it, maybe somewhere in Gamers, like maybe on a Twitter or something. But anyway, my opinion is definitely that this is happening. I think Blizzard has actively started a campaign where they're really pushing wild mode to its limits, starting with that Tavern Brawl Arena thing, and following with the wild tournament. I think they're gonna make Wild a lot more competitive and a lot more interesting for a lot of players. A lot of people now have been really working on Wild decks, and I enjoy having cooperation with them because they're so creative, and a lot of people just kind of didn't really feel like they had home, for example, with their wild archetypes, with their wild decks and stuff. And I really like the fact that, for example, I mean, Gamerslug is a place that offers you to post your wild theory crafts and be recognized for it as a real competitor. So we don't make a difference between standard and wild, and this is something that I really respect about the place and a philosophy that I'm trying to maintain. And I love having cooperation with wild players as well, because they're so creative and there's so much stuff going on in wild. It even makes me want to play wild. Like, I watch wild, but unfortunately I can't play it because I'm lacking too many cards. Back to Emrys. Stat-wise, a 10 mana 8/8. The main question is this worth it? And can you wait until turn 10? Just, you know, if we think about it, like, what is the best thing you can do on turn 10 as a hunter? On turn 10, if your game is going really long, and if it's turn 10 and you haven't won, you're either playing a control hunter or you're doing something wrong. So that's the main problem. So if you're gonna play Emrys, you're gonna have to deal with the fact that this card costs 10 and that you have to wait at least until turn 9 with coin, or turn 10. It's not a cheap card. It's not a card that will provide you victory until turn 10. It's a card that will make you play a deck that goes until turn 20 or after that, because this card doubles the attack and health of all minions in your hand. What happens with the minions in your hand? You have to play them. If you're playing a lot of cheap minions with high stats that are gonna get even higher, that you're gonna play next turn and just win the game, that's fine. But there's not a lot of minions that could actually do something like that. I mean, it's a very odd card. What you have in hand sometimes with Hunter until turn 10 is not very much, and that's a problem. And right now I'm not talking about just Hunter as a dragon deck, because being a dragon right now doesn't really mean much. I'm sorry that you can't see the cards. I'm gonna show you the first two, but I can't really move the camera because this is the most optimal place for it when I'm commenting on a certain card. I will always scroll up or down if you can't see something, but since we already went through these cards, I will scroll down to the other one as well. And if you wanna listen to what we commented on the first two cards, you're more than welcome to check the video after that, so maybe you can even participate in the discussion, comment on it, stuff like that. But for now, I guess I can, it doesn't work. Well, I guess you were able to read it. You can still find them on Hearthstone Top Decks. This is the website that I'm actually using to show off the cards, so you can check them out there as well. So Emrys, it doesn't really matter that it's a dragon. I think with the just obvious lack of dragons in a hunter at the moment, at least in standard, I don't think there's gonna be suddenly a full dragon or hunter archetype. The problem is, as I was saying, what happens in your hand by turn 10 as a hunter, it's not very much. Like, as a hunter, you want to maintain your curve. Hunter has been getting a lot of rush minions recently as well. So if you have a lot of rush minions, that means that you're gonna want to play them and just kind of regain the control of the board, which means emptying your hand during the first few turns as well. So it's very difficult to have a full hand to actually get value from this card, because by turn 10 you're either going to have an empty hand or you're gonna have some serious card draw for Hunter, as Patch's best NPC says. card draw sucks in Hunter. Rock Dalar was good because it gives you resources. Wish they went the same route. Yeah, that's another thing that I wanted to bring up. It's very contradictory. So Rock Dalar, as a really cool weapon, it fills your hand, but it fills your hand with spells. It requires you to have an empty hand so you can play it. Emrys requires you to have minions, so they're completely moving from the spell hunter going to the minion hunter, and they want you to have a full hand until a late turn so you can double the attack and health of the minions. In theory, it sounds interesting, it sounds really powerful. Maybe there's gonna be some sort of an OTK hunter or anything like that just develop, but I don't really know. I don't really see it as a I don't really see it's possible. It's a very greedy card. Like, I don't know, it's expensive, and if this is what you're doing, this is what you're doing with your deck. You know, there's nothing else you want to do on turn 10. That's your turn. And your opponent has a whole turn 10 to prepare for your buffed board. So what are you gonna do after that? Like, maybe in a really serious control hunter deck where you play Rexar, where you make your zombies in a way that you're gonna have high health, high attack on them, and save your zombies until you play Emrys. In that way, okay. I see people hinting at Lyra and Faceless Manipulator combo. That can work out. Like, if you're gonna make an OTK deck, this card is okay, but it still doesn't revolve around the dragon synergy. It's just a card, basically. Like, dragons are really cool, but like, doesn't really matter that it's that. Lyra and Faceless needs Thorson. Well, Lyra costs. Well, I mean, I don't know. Like, I mean, it's something to kind of think about. Like, I mean, Lyra costs 5, so I don't think, I mean, you don't really need the Thorson if you're just going to go for the combo. Like, I mean, about a 2-turn kill doesn't need Thorson for that. Like, what exactly do you need the Thorson for? I mean, it's an interesting concept, but it still doesn't include the fact that you have a dragon in the deck. Nobody really cares about your dragon. Like, 5 and 5, like, I mean, it can be done in standard, but that's okay. So if we're talking about the Leroy Leroy Faceless, that's gonna be, well, that's a lot of damage. But still, it revolves around your opponent not having taunts, not having a way to defend themselves. Because at turn 10, you're gonna have a lot of resources. It is quite vulnerable to taunts, especially with the fact that, okay, it doubles the health, right? But as a Leroy, you're gonna have 4 health on it. It's gonna be a 12-4. So that's a bit of an issue because your Leroy doesn't really survive anything. Let's say you want to trade into a certain taunt. If Leroy was to have like 4 health and then it turns into 8, that's fine. You know, there's not a lot of minions that actually deal 8 damage. So you could hope that your minion is gonna survive the taunt. This way you're gonna use one of your Leroys to smash the taunt, and another one is gonna go to face for 12, which is, I guess, okay. But I think it's making Hunter a bit unstable. I wasn't really hoping for this kind of Hunter. I really wanted to see a control-ish kind of deck, or even a version where you have like a lot of mid-range minions, where you're fighting for the board, but not from the back, not going to rush mechanic and just kind of trading into a board that your opponent already has. Yeah, in the Void Daddy meta, we're going to talk about Warlock as well. I think, yeah, after we talk about Ravencaller, we're definitely going to mention Warlock too. It's a very interesting card, I have to say, but being a dragon, that means that this card is not eligible for any of the beast synergies. That means that if you ever want to do anything with this card regarding like buffing it, having it in your hand or something like that, you're gonna have to have more dragons and a hunter, and I don't know if that's gonna happen. Ravencaller, 3 mana 2/1, add 2 random 1-cost minions to your hand. Blizzard, are you pushing Dragon Hunter, Quest Hunter, and a Rush Hunter in the same expansion, or is that just something that I completely made up right now? Because like Raven, what do you want with this minion? Add 2 random cost minions to your hand. I don't like this card. Like, it's too expensive. It's a 3 mana 2/1. You're not really doing anything with it. And even though it adds cheap minions to your hand, I think it's a bit too slow. Like, there's not a lot of stuff that you would actually want. Godfrey, yeah, it's interesting. I, on a personal level, don't really like it very much because I don't really think it has a legendary value. It's a great card, but I wouldn't say that it deserves to actually be a legendary card, and that I think is a problem because it has too ordinary of an effect. A lot of rush minions are pretty similar. Like as I said before, in best case scenario, it's gonna be a 5 mana 6/5 if your opponent's minion has a 1 attack minion, but on turn 5. You don't really want to kill a 1-drop or a 2-drop that has 1 attack. You want to go for something more, and you're probably going to have to. Ravencaller, yeah, it kind of, as I was gonna say actually, it looks like an arena card. It doesn't look like something that would even be played in a Quest Hunter. I mean, Quest Dragon Rush Hunter Tier 1. Yeah, I don't see it happening. I'm sorry, I can't see it happening. It's definitely an interesting concept of maybe returning a Quest Hunter, but I don't think it's gonna happen. As for Arena, it's a great filler card that just gives you more value. I have a really a friend who's really good at arenas, and basically he has this philosophy that basically when he drafts the deck for arena. I'm not an arena player, so I don't even know how to say it, but basically he doesn't even look at the he doesn't look at the synergies like Murlocs, dragons, or whatever. He's basically just taking cards that give him more cards. And sometimes he shows me like how to make an arena deck, and he's just basically, okay, this gives you cards, in like 1 minute he makes a whole deck, and he actually has like score like 9, 10, 11 wins with it. I'm like, is that the way you choose your arena cards? I thought you should go for like more Murlocs, then more dragons, then more elementals, to go for something, you know? He just like takes cards, just create value. This is why I'm not a very good arena player. I can't put myself into that mindset, but this is definitely a card that I think he's gonna like. And a lot of arena players are going to like the Ravencaller. I, as a standard ranked player, don't really see the value in it, but who am I to judge anything, pretty much. Overall, like, I think they were interesting. We have a few more cards that got discovered that I will find in the classes. These cards that I'm not discussing right now, they are going to, they have been discussed in the previous video, so if you're interested in what we talked about Forest Guide, Witchwood Apple, Whispering Woods, everything that isn't talked about today, you can find it in a previous video. You can find it in like my Twitch videos. It was Wednesday, so day before yesterday, or you can find it on the YouTube channel, or you can find it in one of the Gamer Slug articles. It's called Witchwood Card Discussion Part 1. This is gonna be a Part 2. So we discussed Hunter. There are a few more cards that I kind of wanted to talk about. Wexcrowd. This isn't something that we talked about before. This way you can all see it. It says, whenever you cast a spell, summon a random 2-cost minion. It's kind of interesting. It's an even cost card, so it definitely doesn't synergize with the Black Cat. I would say that Mage is still far too mysterious to kind of grasp what the mage is going to be. We see that they are pushing a little bit of the odd cost mechanic in the mage, but as I said about the Black Cat last time, the card is so good that it doesn't even have to be played in an odd cost deck. It's a 3 mana 3/3 with spell damage. You don't really, you don't really kind of have to play it in an odd cost deck. You don't have to draw a card. It's still a very strong minion for a mage. Mage doesn't really have a lot of strong 3-drops. It has, like, it pretty much has the Kirintor mage that you can play and then get a secret, but most of mage's 3-drops are secrets. This is actually a really nice minion. Coins is included as spellcast. Yes, coins are always included as the spellcasts. There's gonna be videos of Wexcrow summoning Doomsayer and wiping out the entire board. I am pretty sure that's gonna happen. And if you happen to cast the spell and the first minion is Doomsayer, I assume you're just gonna stop casting. But the worst thing that could probably happen is just getting Doomsayer last and wiping your full board. Yeah, that's pretty much what it is. Also very interesting is that you could potentially get Wexcrow as a shaman, couldn't you? Because technically, if you're evolving or devolving something, you can technically get this. And as a shaman, it would be really interesting to basically cast and cast and cast spells and get some 2 costs and eventually evolve them. Fearbringer says 3 mana with 3/3 with spell damage is not that special. We already had that and it didn't see that much play outside of synergy decks. I actually have to disagree with the general point of what you're saying. Also, Evolve is rotating, yes, but I'm talking about both standard and wild players, so I'm kind of reflecting on both decks. It would be really interesting to see what you can actually get from the wild decks. And I have to say that a lot of stuff that seemed like it would only be played in a synergistic deck, for example, that minion, the spell damage one, the mage minion that basically buffs your Cthulhu, if you have it in the deck when you cast a spell or something. I don't know what it's called, but basically that is the minion that saw play in an ordinary tempo mage without Cthulhu. It was that strong. It was I think it was 3 mana 3/2 or 2 mana 3/2. I don't really know. Irfruthis, what are you posting in my chat? If you're posting something inappropriate, I'm gonna be very mad. Okay, that's...
Oh, why? Get a fire...
Because a lot of people are,
I get the chart.
Oh, this seems like an okay thing.
Oh, good. Oh my god. I have to clip.
Thank you for a relevant link. Sorry for my previous reactions. I've actually had a lot of negative experiences with people just, yeah, I know you weren't talking about that one, but I was talking about not the card, but the general point. Sometimes you're gonna play a card that is meant to be in a different kind of deck, just because it's so strong with the spell damage. Spell damage actually was something that Mage benefited a lot from. At that time, Arcane Blast was a thing, and I remember that minion being played just because there was an Arcane Blast in the deck. So I think Black Cat could technically be played in an odd cost deck and out of it. So I think it's okay. Also for this, thank you for sending the link. As you know, my chat, or maybe you don't. I don't know if I saw you before. Let me just check. I didn't see you before. I encourage all the Hearthstone kind of, you know, links, whatever stuff. You're allowed to post it for a reason, because this chat is made for people to kind of, you know, share their content. But I think the chat would appreciate it more if you, you know, kind of said hi, not just kind of bumped into the stream and just posted a link that promotes your content. That, I wouldn't say that's very nice, but I'm not gonna like delete your link or anything. You're welcome to post Hearthstone content. Yeah, a lot of people say the Black Cat is a little Azure Drake. I don't know. I mean, I would say that Black Cat requires a lot more sacrifice if you're gonna play it as Azure Drake, if you're actually gonna draw cards with it, because you can't pretty much play half of your collections. About Odd Cost Mage, it's very debatable. I can't really say if that thing is gonna even be viable, because you have just too many cards that are good for Tempo Mage and the Control Mage that are even costs. Like, what are you gonna do without Fireball in a Tempo Mage? And what are you gonna do without, for example, without Blizzard, without, like, Meteor in your, like, in your Control Mage? It just doesn't really fit anywhere right now, so I am not sure if it's gonna be viable. But as Soul Requiem says, we're gonna have to see other cards to judge that. The one that I was talking is sorry, I'm trying to catch up with all the messages. Okay, fair enough. I'll drop a at the very least. The stream seems to... Yeah, you're welcome to stay. No, I was just kind of mentioning it just so people who watch the stream wouldn't just, you know, come and just spam their links and basically taking advantage of the fact that they can post links in the chat, because this is a chat where you can post links, just because it's... I mean, I wanted to keep it open just so everybody could kind of enjoy the content and share their deck list, their links, and stuff like that. The only thing I kind of require is to just kind of, you know, be nice to the rest of the chat in a way that they don't think it's a spam. So that's pretty much the only reason why I brought it up. But thank you so much for the follow, and thank you for hanging out. You're more than welcome to join the discussion. What does the Odd Cost Legendary do? Upgrade the hero power or make it cost 1? Yeah, it upgrades, so it is pretty much useless in a control deck. It's not very good. Like, if it was to cost 1, it would be really nice, because, for example, if you were to play an odd cost and, I don't know, like Jaina, then you could like ping and just get a 1-drop, but we'll see. Strong, it gives you extra value while being in your deck. Also, when you're talking about the upgrades of hero power, that can actually be very interesting with the Jaina, like the actual DK card, because now Jaina will be dealing like 2 damage instead of 1, and that can change the whole concept of board clears and getting your stuff basically ready for making new elementals. So you're not going to be playing around 1 damage to your minion. Of course, you're gonna play around 1 damage as well, because the 2 damage will kill it, but you're also gonna have to be very careful about your 2 health minions on the board, because Mage will also be able to... I don't think it works on Jaina. It doesn't? Are you sure? Oh, right, it works on basic powers. Sorry, my bad completely. Yeah, if it works only on basic powers, then that's fine. It's just the fact that we haven't had a DK slash Justicar interaction yet. I guess in Wild they have, but I don't know if they're gonna move the whole philosophy of Justicar working just on the basic spell powers to the actual standard. But then if then the upgrade doesn't work, then forget what I said. I mean, Wextra 4 mana 3/3, not very strong, but like if you're going for like maybe a Swarm Mage, like who knows, maybe there's gonna be a deck that revolves around creating minions by using the spells. But like, what spells can you cast that do you actually want to I don't know. like, it has to be cheap, because you don't just want to get like a 2 cost minion, just 1. You're gonna want to get more out of it. So I would say that mage needs to get a little bit more of the cheap spells for this to work. I don't think it's gonna work on the Death Knights. I just wasn't sure about the interaction with the actual Death Knights. So from that point of view, that doesn't work. But it would be interesting if it did, definitely. So yeah, it's fun. I don't know why mage is getting beasts. Yeah, I guess from that point of view, it is pretty useless, unfortunately. But yeah, so we talked about Echo. Not many Paladins cards discovered yet. We went through these. Rogue, we talked about. Shaman, we discussed. Yeah, that's pretty much the same. They haven't discovered anything new. Warlock, yeah, only the 2 legendaries. I kind of want to go through the neutral cards that are new. So we talked about all these cards that I'm skipping in a previous video. Also, Bazzer, thank you so much for dropping by. Have a great day, and I hope you enjoyed the video. If you want to check it out later, in case you missed something, you can check it in the videos. Yeah, see you probably on Monday or next week or something like that, since today is Friday, so there's weekend. Woo! Okay. So we talked about these, but there are a few neutral cards that came out that I kind of wanted to discuss, and those are these. Blackfold Pixie, I think the most interesting card, the neutral interesting card that came out these days. Battlecry, refresh your hero power. So we see Beardo kind of leaving the leaving the standard. Right now I'm not like talking about Wild. In Wild, that's still gonna be pretty strong, but in Standard, the Pixie refreshes your hero power. It refreshes once. I don't know if this is gonna be enough, for example, for an OTK Paladin, because it's gonna require you to have the coins from well, no, it's actually gonna, no, you're actually gonna have to have tokens, like, yeah, 2 of them before you play the Pixie. So it's not really gonna work out for an OTK. Maybe they just kind of wanted to make sure that the Paladin can't really kill you in 1 turn, because this only refreshes once. What classes actually benefit from refreshing the hero power? What do you want to do? Like, maybe, I don't know. I mean, it doesn't really work with the Hunter. Like, maybe as a 3-mana 3/4 and a strong minion that you want to play, I don't know, like it would be played on turn 7, because you spend 2 mana on a hero power and you play this guy, and then you play the next one. So it's a 7 mana 3/4 with like a few damage. Like, yeah, Quest Warrior is another thing that I wanted to also bring up, because of the fact that this is an odd cost. So as we know, the quest is also an odd cost, and this can work really nicely with it. But I guess the question is whether this card is gonna be worth it to actually see play in a Quest Warrior. I am pretty confident that we will see it. Priests, that's draw 2. Yeah, Quest Warrior. If there aren't any other cards that you'd have in the deck rather than this one, this can be a nice 16 damage combo, but it's still a 7 mana 3/4 when you think about it. So I guess after you play the quest and after you have 8 damage per turn, you're removing most of the stuff, and you don't really care what you're playing as long as you're clearing the board or just dealing damage to the face. So yeah, I could definitely see it in a Quest Warrior. I think it can be good. Priest, that's draw 2. What do you mean? Way too much setup? It's not really that much setup. You just do the quest and then you go hero power, Pixie, hero power. Like, I don't see it as too much setup. Yeah, you lose Curator, but if you're losing Curator, are you actually going to play the dragon? Like, maybe you're just going to play some other mechanics that deal with the boards. Maybe that's not going to be a taunt that you play. I don't know, like, Drake was fine, but in some metas, you just didn't want the Primordial Drake because there wasn't that many, like, aggro decks, and Primordial Drake was something that was really good with Sleep with the Fishes. So if we don't have Sleep with the Fishes in Standard, are we actually going to play the Drake just for the Whirlwind effect that we could still have, but not really remove anything? It's a great card, like, definitely an 8 mana for 8 that deals 2 damage to everyone. Awesome card, but maybe the Quest Warrior is going to turn around and actually become something more of an OTK, just like, for example, like Paladin is. Like, Paladin is a great control deck. When you play Uther, you get like 15 heal and you get damage, but I have to rely on Reckless Flurry. Maybe. Like, I think we're gonna have to rely on some other Whirlwind mechanics. I think with the loss of Curator, Dragons and Murlocs are just not gonna be a thing, as in you're not gonna have anything viable to draw. So if you're not running Primordial Drakes, and if you don't have the Curator, like, maybe you will want 1 Drake, but then you still have 2 slots, for example, for the Pixie. But then if you're playing the Pixie, you have to make it worthwhile. You actually have to use it when you're supposed to, so you could get an effect. So that's turn 7 at least. Like, you can't really play 2 of them in the same turn and actually make a huge OTK and deal like 24 damage, because if you spend 7 mana and play the Pixie, you get, I mean, you have 10 mana spent and you can't hero power again, so you're never gonna be able to deal 24 unless you're having like some sort of, I don't know, an incredible circumstance where your opponent played that dragon that gives you 2 coins and then you coin out twice and you do another hero power. So I mean, that's pretty much the only way I see it happening. So if the upgrade is, but if the upgrade is working on the question is, the upgrade is working just on the basic hero powers. What happens with the cheaper hero power? Like, regardless of whether it's a quest or not, does that mean that the special hero powers won't be able to get cheaper? That's something I don't know. Do you guys know? I don't know. I didn't watch that video, or I don't recall them explaining that, but it wouldn't really make sense for a hero power to actually be more expensive. Because if you have it as one the whole game and then you switch your hero power, it wouldn't really make sense for the hero power to cost 2 after that. But maybe it does. I don't know. They should honestly, the reason why not, I don't think they really touched on it. Yeah, I'm not sure there's an information about that either. I think we're just gonna have to wait until we test it or see the actual gameplay. Well, the upgrade doesn't work for sure. Yeah, upgrade is debatable because I think it would just be too OP if you could just have everything upgraded. And the question is, how would you upgrade certain... Yeah, I guess it was foolish to think that like Jaina hero power could be upgraded, because if a DK hero power could be upgraded, that would mean that all the hero powers would have to be upgraded DK wise. So for example, they would have to rework the hunter. I don't know how they would rework the hunter. You would get 3 beasts to choose from instead of 2, and warrior would deal like 2 damage to all minions instead of 1. You want to push Quest Buck Warrior. I think it would be good with Pixie against aggro. You don't keep the quest true, and with the upgrade HP, it's just unlosable. You can use this card in turn 3 to take trades against control. You keep it for extra damage in late game. You can use it for extra armor against aggro. Yeah, maybe. How would you upgrade the rogue one? Oh, like, well, I would probably go for double echo if you ask me. Like, I would go like, okay, you get 2 of these shades, not like double echo, but like just getting 2 of the shade cards and just being able to just play a minion and then play a shade and then maybe use the shade for the shade that you played, so you get 3 minions or 3 cards or whatever, or you play another card and then you can use that. That would be pretty OP. I wouldn't be a good balance designer, definitely, but that would be my idea of upgrading rogue ones. But that's actually pretty interesting. So the rest of them, I don't know which ones we didn't discuss. Actually, Clockwork Automaton, that's the one that we didn't really talk about. Oh, it's a good one. So Paladin one would summon 2 kill you instantly dudes. Well, yeah, I guess so. I guess that would be fair, because why would Jaina be able to ping for 2 damage and Paladin would be able to summon two guys? I don't know. I would make them. I don't know. I would. No, that would never work. That's just not good. Oh, that would suck. That would be too much. I don't know. Then they should be. I don't know. That wouldn't work. That would definitely not work. So this guy doubles the damage and healing of hero power. Huh. Sharax is summon 2/6/6 demons. Yeah, pretty much. Okay, yeah, I'm a terrible card designer. Let's just yeah. Double the damage and healing. Is this card ever playable in like classes that actually benefit from that? As in like either a hunter or a priest. And this doubles the healing, but it doesn't double the armor, so it's not like a Justicar. And also, does it work on the Justicar hero power? For example, if you are to play the 4 health hero power, would it be 8 if this guy doubles it? Is it like 8 health? Does it do 8 damage if you have that soul priest? Hunter can deal 6 damage. Yeah, Hunter can deal 6, and like priest can deal 8. Priest can deal even more because of that's priestess girl. Oh god, that's OP. Can I add something? Can I suggest that Clockwork should be a legendary rarity and Crowley to lose the legendary value, because this seems to be a lot more powerful. Like, what is this even? Like, what? That's OP, isn't it? That's pretty OP. What if you play these 2 cards together? What if you have your here? I don't know. Like, Clockwork is basically a cheap Valiant. Yeah, and Valiant hasn't even rotated yet. Like, this can actually be played in the same deck. She can pack 2, exactly. How is that even fair? But it only works on the hunter and the priest, because those are the ones that deal damage. Like, it doesn't work on druid because he just attacks, right? It doesn't attack for more. Exciting times to be a priest main. Yeah, I'm trying to imagine it with coin, and I don't like it. Yeah, DK Warlock as well, but like, does it work with the DK Warlock? I guess it works because it deals 6 and it has life steal, so it gains you 6 health. Deal 6, gain 12. But like, don't you gain 6 just because of the? I don't think it stacks. I don't think it stacks in a way that you deal 6 and then you heal for 6, but then the healing doubles. I think you just get healed by the amount of the doubled damage kind of thing, if you know what I mean. I don't think it's stackable. It's deal 6 and heals. It stacks. It actually stacks. Spirit Lash does that. Yeah. Oh my god. That's That's really, really strong. Like, this is one of those, if that's the way it works, and if this card actually finds place in the decks, this is one of the strongest common cards that I've seen. Oh, wow. Oh, God. Oh, what are we getting into? Oh, God, that's human. Lifesteal is 6 and it's doubled. Yeah, it's gonna be very exciting to be a priest and to be a warlock. Where are the other classes? Like, we're talking about, like, Hunter with the dragons and, like, how it's gonna be too slow. This screams OP. Like, these other classes, again... That's awesome. Time to make a spell DK warlock deck. Exactly. Like, I mean... Ouch! That really is going to suck for the other classes. Oh, wow. Yeah, like, Warlock is one of the rare classes that actually got their, like, DK hero power that fixed the problem that you have in the rest of the game. For example, with Warlock, you draw cards but you're losing health, and then you go DK, and you fix it. You actually heal yourself. There's not a lot of, like, a lot of classes where your hero power has a reverse effect, where it fixes it, right? That's just OP. Wow, okay, that's just too much to handle right now. I mean, those are pretty much all of them that are shown for now, and I think it's gonna be really exciting, and I definitely think we're gonna talk about this a bit more. There is a purpose, Void Daddy. Yeah, exactly. And also, as a side note, I made a Void Elf Warlock that I'm currently leveling in World of Warcraft, and his name is Voidfather. He's a Destruction Warlock. I think he's gonna stay a Destruction Warlock, and I managed to get a name Voidfather for him, so all the quest givers call me Voidfather. Woo! OP name, right? I really like it. I mean, overall, I'm pretty happy with the cards that got revealed. I think some classes we still have to see. Like, Mage is still a huge puzzle. And Druid, like, it's leaning towards Mill Druid, it's leaning towards, like, Token Druid. It looks like it has a few purposes, but we're definitely gonna talk about it more. As you say, Spanish Village for me never played WoW. It's just a character that is called Voidfather. Basically, there's a new allied race. Like basically a race of characters that you can take, and those are called Void Elves. So since he's a Void Elf, I decided to name him Voidfather. And when you take a name in World of Warcraft on a certain server, nobody else can take it. And since everybody's just starting to level their their allied races, a lot of people would probably want their Warlock or their anything to be called a Voidfather if they're leveling a Void Elf. So I'm pretty happy that I managed to take that name. And if you cube Warlock, automation, deal 12, heal 24. Yeah, my chat is becoming like a place with where like most vicious combos are being made and thought of. I'm actually really proud of you guys, and I'm really afraid of all of you at the same time due to the creativity that you guys have. Overall, I'm pretty happy with the revealed cards, and there's as I started to talk about it, there's a reason why I'm doing this in probably 4 parts. So the next time we're gonna do a card reveal is probably going to be next Wednesday. So there's probably no cards revealed this weekend. We're gonna do probably one on Wednesday, so we're gonna wait for the cards from Monday and Tuesday to kind of pile up, and then we're gonna do one on Wednesday, and next one we're gonna do on either Friday or even next Monday, depending on when the final card reveal is going to happen. But I'm going to, as I said, I'm going to upload these videos on YouTube as well, because I want to kind of go back and reflect on them after the expansion hits to see where we got it right, where we got it wrong, and that's something that I'm definitely gonna do. Heal 6, heal 12, put a 4/4 on the board for 7, and I still seems legit. They are revealed every day. I didn't really pay attention to the schedule, but last expansion, cards did not get revealed during the weekend. Is it just working days or is it weekend? Because if it is weekend as well, then we're gonna do it on Monday also. But it all depends on whether it's gonna be on weekend or not. I'm gonna have to take a look at the schedule. I actually did not update myself on that. But we're gonna do that. And since it's the new season and hopefully the ladder is kind of fixed next season, there's not going to be any problems. I guess when we start climbing next season, it's gonna be pretty nice, and we're gonna climb hopefully starting from Monday. And if we don't do the card reveal, we're just gonna play Hearthstone, and we're gonna do a few of the cards like discussions during the next week. This is pretty much gonna be it for today regarding the card reveal. I wanted to thank you first of all for watching and for participating in the discussion. This definitely wouldn't be the same if you guys didn't participate, because you guys are very creative, and it's really nice that I kind of get to talk to you. You have such good insight. I'm very, very happy that you guys are in my chat. We're gonna find someone to host today. There's a guy, I don't know who he is, but his stream is called Legend Climbing Pajama Stream. So we're gonna watch someone in pajamas stream after this, but I will end the video now, and yes, stay on the channel if you wanna watch his stream as well. Didn't climb at all this season. I was too stubborn. Making control may work. I tried that with a few decks myself as well, and I'm around rank 20,000 legend or something like that due to my theory crafts this season. So I get you, man. If someone understands, this is me understanding. So yes, you're very welcome. I am very much looking forward to hearing what you guys have to say about further revealed cards. I'm going to see you on Monday on the normal streaming time, so 2:30 p.m. Central European time. It's gonna, if there's any changes, it's gonna be on the social networks. If not, I'm still gonna let you know that I'm starting to stream. So I will see you there. Thank you so much again. Have a great weekend, great day, night, wherever you are. Enjoy theory crafting, and I am very much looking forward to discussing some more with you. And yes, if you miss any part of this video or the last video, you can always find it in the video section. Thank you so much again, and I will see you on Monday. Bye, guys!